All right, guys, let's get straight into the content cheat code that took me from a brand new Instagram account with 0 followers and helped me generate 45K in my first month on my first ever offer. This is the same thing that I utilize every single day to this day, and one that I've spent a lot of time, energy, effort, and money to learn. So that way I could turn attention into revenue the most efficient way possible. So in order to scale your content, there's a few things that we're going to go over in this. And now for me, I spent a lot of money trying to figure out the best way to deliver my value to people in a unique sense, because there's a lot of people doing things similar to myself, and maybe you feel similar right now to me. But if you do not know what your USP, your UVP, and your ICP are, you're leaving a lot of revenue on the table, because you have unique characteristics and angles that you can use in content that you don't know how to deliver right now. So your unique sales proposition is basically an extended version about you, everything about you, your personal interests, your vulnerability, your humility, your value, your authority, and everything that you have been through in your life. Your UVP is basically a tagline or a 10 to 20% version of your USP. A lot of times people will use this in a very small portion of their value and their deliverable inside of their content, and we'll get more into what that means. And then your ICP is your ideal client profile. A lot of people tend to know this, but that's about the only thing they do know. Content creation overall has a monetization formula attached to it. I'm going to give you that in this video. And then when it comes down to it, metrics that matter is based around using automations and software so that you can work less but make more money. And so there's a little statistic here that I want to share with you guys. Over 90% of business owners are creating content, but fewer than 1 in 10 have a clear USP or system to turn attention into revenue. That's crazy. Those who implement automation and strategy-driven frameworks see 2 to 3 times faster growth, 60% more revenue per client, and save hours each week by removing manual work. So that may be you. We're going to change that. The first thing that we're going to talk about is your unique sales prop. So what problem do you solve? Why should people listen to you? And what makes you relatable? This is going to make sure you can post less and profit more with social media, because you are now going to know how to hit your target audience in a way that no one else can. There's only one you, and you need to know how to speak about that. So here's a quick example of what my USP document looks like. It's a very extended version of everything about myself. Now, I leverage this with different software and AI to come up with unique angles, hooks, value points, and then call to actions inside of my content. So that way, when I go about posting content, I don't have to overthink. And I think most people's biggest bottleneck in branding themselves and turning attention into revenue is overcomplicating the process. So when you go and you complete a USP exercise, this is something that I do with every person that's inside of my platform and that I work with day to day. You can go ahead and throw this into ChatGPT. You can throw it into Claude AI, a lot of the different softwares that maybe you're utilizing now. And if you're not utilizing, you need to, so that you can think less and produce more every single day. And so the next thing is the monetization formula, right? Now, this is very simple, but a lot of people overlook it. Most people have the attention span of a fly. I think we all know that, and people are brain rot, and they scroll very, very quickly. So you need to have something at the very beginning of your video that almost acts as a marketing piece or advertisement for your digital store. And you're going to see throughout the rest of this video that every piece of content should be structured like a digital storefront, where you give people free value and they walk out of your store with things they didn't even necessarily mean to purchase. So your hook is what's going to get people in the door. Your structure, this is the deliverable, the value, and you need to get this across to people within the first 25 to 30 seconds of every single post, especially if you're utilizing TikTok, Instagram Reels, or Facebook Reels. Your CTAs or your call to actions are obviously the most important part. Most people have an employee mindset. If you don't ask your audience to engage with you, they're not going to. The same way that if their boss didn't give them a schedule and they didn't tell them where to be, what to wear, where to sit, and what to do, they wouldn't work. So it really is that simple. And if you can start to implement all three of these things inside of every piece of content, you're going to start to convert a lot more. So once you define your USP, you can use that with software, come up with good hooks. You're using your unique angles to stand out. And then you're going to also need to know how to deliver your value. I encourage you to not be too eloquent. Most people try to seem so fancy on social media, and even if you're a good communicator like myself, for example, you overdo it. You need most people that are watching you to feel like whatever it is that you do is digestible enough. If you speak too crazy, then although you may sound fancy, you're only going to hit a small audience of people. You want everyone to feel like they can believe they can do it and that they can get results with your opportunity, your offer, your product, your service, etc. And so when it comes to automation, utilizing AI, you can look up Claude AI, you can look up ChatGPT, you can look up Snap Insta, you can look up a lot of these different softwares that will allow you to take transcripts from other people's high performing reels. You can use this to give yourself content ideas for hooks. unique angles, different call to actions and trigger words inside of your content. When it comes down to the algorithm, I encourage you guys to go into your social media profile. For example, let's just go check out one of my higher performing reels from recently. I posted this one about a week and a half, 2 weeks ago. Keep in mind, this Instagram, as of this video, is still 4 months old. So we're scaling pretty quick here, and I'm getting quite a bit of engagement. I'd like to think 3,800 comments on a video that took me 10 minutes is a pretty good ROI. And I can generate hundreds of leads every single day by simply posting a few face-to-camera videos, making it seem like I'm FaceTiming my audience and keeping it authentic. So when you go in here, I encourage you guys to go check the insights, right? Go look at this, and you can tell by your comments that your trigger words and your call to actions are working. Sprinkle your call to actions into the middle of your video, almost like if you've ever been to Costco or Sam's Club. This is basically a wholesale grocery store for those of you that don't know. They have old ladies sitting there with free samples, and you walk through the store and they give you free value, and you walk out with the bag because you didn't even know you were going to purchase it. That's how your mid-video call to actions could be structured. That would save you and give you a lot more engagement, because most people aren't going to stick all the way through your video. Now, saves is a good example of knowing that your value got across. People got value from your deliverable, meaning what you promised them in your hook, aka how to make $3,000 in a day without having a job, boss, or schedule. I gave that to them. I gave them a resource that attached it to what I was promising them early on. Shares is another good example of something that tells you people want others to engage with your content, and that's going to push the algorithm a lot. So if you know you're getting more comments than likes, it's a pretty good idea that whatever you're doing is working, because I don't care about followers, I care about dollars. And the way you make dollars is by having conversations, whether you have an offer and you're a coach and you have a mentorship program, community, course, etc., or you're just having to have conversations about sales process, recruiting, etc. So that's a very quick example. Every single piece of content that I post has a hook, has a deliverable that I get across as seamless as possible. If it's longer than a couple minutes, 2 minutes or so, there's a mid-video call to action. And then, of course, I'm going to add a call to action at the very end using a trigger word, DM or comment blank. This will drive people to engage with your content overall. Now, when it comes down to ManyChat, this is just one example of one of the different softwares you can use so that you can capitalize on things like speed to lead. So every single person that ever DMs me when I hooked up my Instagram through ManyChat gets an automated message right away. So that way I don't have to manage the entire process. Now, if you're scaling an offer, for example, and you start to generate 25 to 30 leads a day, you're not going to have the capacity to fulfill every role inside of your operation anymore. So this is when you should have setters, you should have closers, and you should have people managing your sales process. I don't do anything other than post content and work with my clientele. So these are a few things that you can do from an automation standpoint to be able to work less and make more money. And this is the Sam's Club strategy. Now, when you think about Costco, you think about Sam's Club, these are wholesale grocery stores once again. Every piece of content that you post needs to be like a digital storefront where you welcome people into your store with a quality hook that separates you from every piece of content that they've seen today. And then you're going to give them authority right away. So I'm going to show you an example of what this structure looks like, using a hook, using authority, giving people a deliverable, meaning what was promised in the hook very seamlessly, keeping it digestible, not too fancy, and then over the course of the video, giving more value and making sure I always cap it off with a call to action and drive people to engage with my content. You walk through Costco, they have greeters, they have free samples. The most expensive stuff's at the first portion of the store. You can't even get to the small items and check out until you've been through the whole thing. It's designed like that for a reason. Every piece of your content needs to be designed like a digital storefront where you welcome people into your store, you give them free value, they walk out the door with things they didn't even necessarily mean to buy. This is something that will transform everything for you if done correctly. So let's look at an example or two. We'll just use this video here just for another reference point.
Here's a dummy-proof way to be able to make $3,000 plus a day without having a job, a boss, or a schedule.
So the hook, make it very simple. I say dummy proof so that way everyone believes they can do it. You need to be somewhat of a visionary with your content, right? Making people believe they can get value out of what you do. It's not too far gone. It's not too far fetched. They can succeed. That's important. And do not make this too complicated. You don't want to have a crazy amount of words on your screen if you're trying to keep things simple. So anywhere from 8 to 12 words in a hook is plenty.
There's a few different days of me doing $5,000 in a single day across different months. Here's a screenshot from one of my pretty solid days this week.
So now you're showing your authority and you're doing it in a concise way where you almost seem like you don't care to a certain extent, right? And then here I'm going to do my best to maybe stack a few hooks or get straight into the deliverable, meaning what was promised, how to make $3,000 a day or more utilizing blank, blank, and blank, so you don't have to have a boss, job, or schedule.
All right, so all you need to do is pay ChatGPT $0 in order to analyze the value you withhold as a human and package that value into a digital info product that you can start to sell for $3,000 or more. Utilizing one special prompt.
This is an example of pattern interruption where you throw people a curveball by getting them away from your face and interacting with something, whether it's a prop, whether it's an exercise, any of these things. I encourage you to incorporate some of this.
With ChatGPT, it will then start asking you discovery-based questions that help you put this digital product together. By the way, this exercise is completely free and it takes you no more than 15 to 20 minutes of your time. If you want the prompt that I used to do this, just DM or comment the word prompt and I'll send it to you.
There's an example of a mid-video CTA. This video is probably 2 minutes or longer. That being said, I want to make sure I give people that old lady free sample coming into my digital storefront, just like Costco.
You now have a business to scale. All you need to do is start marketing this digital product by posting on Instagram Reels. Why Instagram? Because it's the best platform to monetize your content.
Remember, I said dummy proof at the beginning. I'm going to speak so simple that a fifth grader could understand it. If you've ever followed Alex Hormozi, he's made hundreds of millions in so many different businesses utilizing the fifth grade level strategy. Every meeting he does, every book he puts together, it's all so planned in the sense where anyone can digest the information.
I know this because I started this Instagram account at the end of August with 0 followers just to document the process of starting from scratch, and I generated close to $45,000 in my first month. In order to turn attention into revenue, all you need is to ask ChatGPT to give you topics of conversation to post on that are relative to this digital product. There's a special prompt I'll send you with the last one if you happen to want to do this. The algorithm is then going to utilize SEO and keywords to deliver your value within your digital product to people that resonate with it most. From here, all you need to do is have conversations with these people on Instagram to see if you can help them. Call it crazy until it works. I helped one of my friends, Sam, do this, and she generated $3,000 within her first 24 hours.
Throwing testimonials in is going to be a very big piece for you. I tried throwing a testimonial in at the end of this video for one of the first times ever, and it hit really hard because I'm going to drop a call to action right after. So people seeing that others are succeeding using this strategy, using your offer, your program, your product, your service, your opportunity, right? That's going to be a big avenue for you to be able to leverage outside of your own results.
That's enough from me on this one. If you guys want to give this a shot, one more time, just DM or comment that word prompt, and I'll send it to you.
It really is that simple, guys. Your goal is to create a digital storefront with every piece of content that you have that incorporates all of these different things. So over the course of time, you can think less, produce more, make more, work less, and post less and profit more. Hopefully you guys got value out of this. If you guys want to know more about how I help people scale an offer from scratch, just DM or comment the word ready on my Instagram at Noah Ortiz Official, and I'd be more than happy to help you out.